I can say good afternoon because it is exactly noon at this point, and just want to say hi to everyone. This is Troy Schlicker with the Austin Spotlight, and today I am joined by Angelique Dale of 4 Points Mom Travel. How's it going, Angelique?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, trying to stay warm with this crazy winter Texas weather we've been having lately, but it's a nice change. Soon enough, it will be 100 degrees out, and we'll all be complaining about that. So I try to take it all in stride when it's chilly and we're getting to a reprieve from that. So, but yeah, no,
So true.
really appreciate really appreciate you taking the time to join me today. I had kind of seen some of your stuff on the social media and whatnot, since we're actually not that far apart neighbor wise as well too, and wanted to bring you on because I thought you had some really interesting stuff as well as kind of travel focus. Which again, with the snow coming, right? Like, who would have thought Texans need to go south for the winter, but maybe we do. And so just wanted the chance
Yeah.
to kind of bring you on and hear a little bit about your story. So tell me a little bit about kind of your journey to Austin. Were you one of the rare native Austinites, or is it a little bit more exciting journey than that?
I don't know if it's exciting, but it's circuitous. I grew up in Dallas, Fort Worth, but I ended up coming to Austin for college, so hook 'em horns. And after college, decided my radio, television, film degree was a great stepping stone to go to law school. I don't get it either. I don't get it. But at that point in my life, that's what I wanted to do. And went to law school at SMU up in Dallas and ended up passing the bar, getting an awesome job as a consultant for a company that helped prevent sexual abuse within youth serving organizations. I worked there for about 11 years. It was awesome. I loved my work. I was very passionate about our cause, and I loved that I got to travel. And so I had about 1 million miles on American Airlines, traveling all over the world, getting to go to so many cool places. It was just perfect. And then my husband and I decided it was time to start a family. And of course, as we did that, some of our priorities shifted a bit, and me on the road 3 out of 4 weeks wasn't really ideal. And so
Yeah.
I kind of scaled back my travel a bit. And then after I had my son, and then after I had my daughter, really traveling just wasn't the priority for our family at that time. And so that's when I kind of started thinking about, is this what I want to be doing? And I stepped away from my role that I had for 11 years and decided I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. And that's when I really dove right into 4pointsmom.com, which is my website. And that was really created as a resource for local moms here in our area in Austin called the 4 Points. And we live about 30 minutes from Austin, even though we're Austin proper. And as a mom, I'm looking for things to do with kids. Like, where are the best playgrounds? Where are places to go for indoor activities when the weather's like this? Where are splash pads? And really, for us out here in the 4 Points area, so Steiner Ranch, River Place, Grandview Hills, um, there really wasn't anything. And so I created this website and had so much fun just updating it regularly, a little bit about my life, a little bit about Austin, things to do with your kiddos, started some great partnerships with local businesses. And I did that for a while. And in doing that, I would post a lot about our travels because our family, we travel a ton. That's a passion of mine, passion of my husband's. And I would post about our trip to Hawaii, or, we went to San Francisco. Here's where we stayed. Here's what we did. And every time I would post, people would ask me for recommendations. And I loved giving them, I loved helping them with their travels. And then when we went to Disney, that's when it kind of, my light bulb went off, because I realized I love doing this. This could be a job. People kept asking me, why don't you do this? Why don't you help people? And I realized, yeah, I really should look into that. And so last January actually is when I started as a travel agent. I found a great agency with some really incredible agents who have been doing this for years and years and years. And with their experience, I have just jumped right in. Couldn't have picked worse timing world-wise. But I've learned so much in the past year. I don't think anyone could have learned as much in 1 year,
Yeah.
rather than starting now. I know all about cancellations and rescheduling, and why a travel agent is great for a client that doesn't want to spend hours on the phone, those types of things. But now here we are, 2021, we're looking ahead, people are optimistic, and that's kind of where I am now, is really just building that part of my life. And both my kids are in elementary school, so now it's, that's my full-time gig, and it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. I got to go back to kind of one of the earlier parts. Your early career, you mentioned you got to travel quite a bit for your job and racking up all the miles and stuff. Were you the type of person then that would use those miles when you had a week end off or a week off? Because I know, having worked with a lot of different people in real estate, I know a lot of people that have to travel for work, and a lot of them will be like, you couldn't pay me to go to an airport when I don't have to travel, because they're, doing it Monday through Friday, most of the month. They're
Yeah.
like, I just want to sit at home. Or did you enjoy? And so they have all these miles that they never use from that standpoint. And so were you the type of person who, hey, I have all these miles, I can go to anywhere I want, almost free of charge, and took advantage of that? Or do you kind of enjoy the putting your feet up and relaxing?
I took advantage of it. I loved it. And I think especially before having kids, it was so
Hmm.
easy,
Hmm.
and my husband was so he's a physician. And so our family, we were in Dallas, and then we moved to Seattle for his residency. And then we moved to Wisconsin for his fellowship before finally coming back here, because it's where we wanted to end up. And as we were able to go to all these different places to live, I mean, it was great. We were traveling everywhere. It didn't matter if he had time off, if I had time off, we were on the road. I go into an airport, and, just looking around, people get so stressed, and it's just like piece of cake. Like, this is, old news to me.
You've got your
Yeah.
routine down. Very, very nice. I would imagine, we say, with all the cancellations and stuff that you've been having to deal with over the last year, you probably have a lot of um, better context than even most travel agents necessarily for, hey, American Airlines, so you have direct contacts to people and stuff that way. You don't skip the 800 number from that standpoint.
Oh
Just
gosh.
or that, or the prompts. Like, you get on there, you don't have to listen to all the hold music. Like, well, okay, 6. Okay, now you're just like 624, and then you're right through where you need to go.
Yes, yeah. For the travel suppliers, oh yeah. And that is, I think, this past year, it's funny because, I mean, I never really even knew why anyone would use a travel agent, because, I mean, I've just always
You,
booked my own travel. My family, we never use travel agents. So I just didn't really understand their benefit. But this past year, I think everyone under, like anyone that has used an agent this year, they're like, thank you for being on hold for me for 2.5 hours to get my money back. I'm like,
no,
yep, that's what I've been doing.
no.
And so, yeah, I know all the prompts, and I know how to multitask while being on hold as well. So,
For your business, so kind of, I mean, obviously you mentioned it kind of started as an idea after the Disney World trip. Uh, was it just kind of a matter of kind of organically reaching out to friends, family, people who were kind of talking to you either through those connections or through the 4 Point site, and just kind of giving them, helping them with their travel needs? Or was it really kind of a, hey, let's put a business together and try to go find clients from that standpoint? Which, kind of, how did that come to fruition?
yeah, I think it's been a little of both. I actually was sitting down earlier and kind of, not today, but last week, thinking of the year ahead, and you're just marketing, where am I going to focus my efforts? And I would say it's a little half and half. So people who know me, and they're like, oh, you're the expert, I'm going to turn to you. And so friends, family, um, then they recommend people, of course, but then also, yeah, just organically through my social media, through, being online. And then also I'm part of a larger agency, right? And so,
Sure.
that generates business as well for me, which is great.
Yeah. And then having the kids too, it's amazing from a parent standpoint how often, oh, hey, the kids are oh, why weren't the kids at soccer last Saturday? Oh, we took a trip wherever. Oh, we've been thinking about that from that standpoint. And so there's just so many communications like that that kind of spark interest as well too.
Yeah. And,
So
well, and hopefully moving forward, like I said, this last year I haven't been able to share much
it's
of our
it has been
travels.
harder.
Haven't
Yes.
gone really many places, but
Have you in that regard, have you seen, obviously, March, everything just shuts down and we all think or hope that it's really just a couple of weeks, maybe a month kind of hiatus from living our normal lives, which has not been the case. To me, it feels like people have kind of, while they're probably, cruises, I'm sure, while there are cruises, they're not happening at the same level, and international travel and those kind of things. Are you seeing divergence into other types of travel? Again, I'm sure not at the scale it was pre-pandemic, but people still being like, I've got to do something, and got to recharge and find ways to do stuff. So, and for me personally, I've seen more people do cross country road trips, or a road trip to Napa Valley, or things of that nature that are either within the United States, or even a little bit more local from that standpoint. Have you seen that uptick over the last few months from that standpoint?
yes. And so I think this year it's just been very different, right? And so there are so many people, if you have the means and you do want to travel, if you're comfortable with traveling,
Hmm.
which, that's, I guess, just to take a step back, that's kind of my whole thing, is like, I'm not pushing travel, but if you're
Sure.
comfortable to travel, I can help you. Or if you want to think about, like, fingers crossed, being comfortable this summer or in the fall, I'm here. And I would say most of the people I'm helping right now, that's what they're thinking, is summer, fall. But yeah, I heard about an article the other day where 2 years ago, the most popular destination in the United States was New York City for travel. This year, it's Park City, which is funny
Yeah.
because that's my family's favorite place to
Yeah.
go, is Park City. I'm actually posting a blog post this week on our, Park City vacations, because it's a great place in the summer just to get outside. It's a great place
Mhm.
in the winter, for skiing. My husband and son are there right now. And so, it is interesting to see that shift where I'm seeing a lot of people feel comfortable, especially you can go and get, that's something I help with too, is, if you wanted your own vacation home or your own condo, so you're not having to interact with other people, you can still socially distance in your own place. And so, that is certain, we've seen a shift towards that. And even for our family, that's what we've done. When we went
Mhm.
this summer, we did that. And so, yeah, there's definitely a shift, as far as where people are staying, what's important to them, wanting to, ask about capacity. Right now in Mexico, I think the capacity's gotten up to 50% within the resorts. And so, that's huge too, because if you think about, if you're going to go, hang out at the pool, you don't want to be right on the, top of the next
Yeah.
person. And so
Mhm.
they, these resorts, these destinations are really thinking ahead and thinking, what can we do not only to keep, our staff safe, but to keep our guests safe as well.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, our family did the same thing for the holidays, as we rented out a house. So that way, it was just, we could still all kind of be together from that standpoint, but you wouldn't have to worry about, again, being in a hotel or being other places where you have, mass amounts of people and stuff. Not that some interaction, is going to happen in most cases, but it definitely cuts down on it from that standpoint for sure.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and you mentioned your son and husband up in Park City right now. I appreciate you staying home just so you could be on the podcast with me for
Well, I wasn't invited. This was the boys' trip.
which is good for them to do, I'm sure, sometimes too. So, yeah. So from a travel standpoint, you say Park City has been kind of the premier or the most popular destination this year. Have you seen, with the start of the new year, hotels, airlines, whatever, um, pushing different types of travel that's been really popular, or seems to be connecting with people that are wanting to travel from that standpoint, whether it be the, going down to a resort down in Mexico or other, other types of stuff. I imagine that most travel destinations have pretty good sales going on from that standpoint. And so kind of what are you seeing? Where's a deal to be had from that standpoint?
Yeah, I think right now Mexico's definitely the most where I'm seeing the best deals, whether that's airfare, just to even get down there. But then also once you're there, we're just seeing great packages to where you bundle it. That's the other thing. If you're bundling these vacations where you're getting your airfare and your resort together, that's where you cut into the costs. And so you're often, if you divide it apart and you say how much you spend for airfare and then how much can you get this resort for, your airfare price doesn't change. And so they don't give discounts to anyone, really is what happens. So the airfare, you're going to have the same price there regardless. But whenever you're working with a supplier and they put that resort together with the airfare, you'll see the price slash of the resort. And so even if you go separately, we're seeing great deals, but then whenever you package it together, it's going to even go down further. And so we're seeing that with Mexico specifically. I mean, the prices are just crazy. And most of these resorts down there are all inclusive. And I know some people think like all inclusive, oh, that, you think of gross food, water to drink. Well, they have really nice all-inclusives too.
Sure.
And so, I would say out of the places I've been, probably out of my top 5 resorts I've stayed at, 3 of them are all-inclusives. I mean, it's just, they do it really well. And so
Sure.
you can always find something with your budget that works. Yeah, right now, Mexico, great deals. Also the Dominican Republic. But I would say if you're here in Austin, Mexico is going to be your best bet because it's easy to get to.
Easier flight.
There are some nonstops. Worst case scenario, you go through Houston, you go through Dallas with a short layover, and so that's where I'm seeing the best bang for your buck.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've noticed since moving down here is like Mexico or the Caribbean, you would think, oh, going to Hawaii, not that big a deal, but it's almost more of a hassle, other than you don't need the passport side of it to get all the way over to Hawaii than it is to take a couple hour flight and be in Mexico and start enjoying your vacation versus for us tall people still be scrunched in a plane and dealing with all that.
Well, it's probably a third of the price to go to Mexico. So
yeah, exactly. Are you seeing anything in the States like more? So say someone doesn't want to leave the country, are you seeing any good? What are some popular maybe a weekend destination, road trip destinations? I don't want to go to the airport. I don't want to deal with that side of things. Anything that pops up there?
Yeah, I think right now, going down to JW Marriott, Hill Country, that's a great, easy jump for us, to get in the car and be there in an hour and a half. And the property is just amazing. Great restaurants on site, golf if that's what you're into. And then also just being able to walk around San Antonio. Same with Dallas. Like I said earlier, my husband and I, we lived in Dallas for, I want to say, well, I lived there, I think 5 years, and he moved up a year later. And so I was there for 5 years, but I haven't really spent time in Dallas since we moved away, and we moved to Seattle and then kind of made our route back to Austin, because Dallas really, it was never our favorite place. It's just very different. Sure. We are Austin people. Didn't really love Dallas, just a little too formal, fancy. I don't know. But we went just a couple of months ago. My husband and I went and spent the weekend there, and we were just blown away by, how nice it is up there. Like, there are just incredible hotels you can go and stay at, and the restaurants. But obviously, thinking of the COVID numbers and planning ahead, and hopefully we'll see them to continue to drop down. But, it really is that's an easy weekend to get
Yeah.
away if you don't want to get on an airplane, just a 3.5 hour drive to Dallas to check out awesome restaurants and really nice hotels.
Yeah, and you mentioned JW down in San Antonio, or even like Barton Creek here in Austin, because golf has gotten even more popular because it's kind of a COVID proof would not be the proper way to say that, but you have that social distancing built in the most part from that standpoint, so you can still enjoy an activity, be outside as long as it's not 40 degrees out, and still
Yeah.
kind of get away and do those kind of things from that standpoint.
Yeah, and I mean, up in Dallas, they have the Katy Trail, and so just, I mean, being outside. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I feel like all of us probably haven't been outside as much as we have this year, and so
Oh,
just
for
being
sure.
able to get out and take in what you can, and just becoming appreciative, I guess, of the things you took advantage of. For us, we were like, when we were in law school and med school, we did not get out enough.
Yeah.
And so just kind of revisiting. Fort Worth's a good one too. There's also the Gaylord up in Grapevine.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say, you mentioned you didn't get do a lot in Dallas necessarily while you were, or didn't enjoy it as much. I can't imagine being up there for law school left a lot of time to just kind of spend leisurely doing whatever you felt good or whatever you wanted to that way.
We managed. We had,
Yeah.
I think I had plenty of too much fun, probably.
Too much fun sometimes, sure.
But I didn't have any money to go and stay at the Sony hotel.
Yes, very much so. And I couldn't agree more with your having spent more time outside. I actually am someone who fortunately does spend that time outside, but like the River Place Nature Trail was a huge thing for me when all the gyms and stuff initially closed, because I'm not a huge just cardio guy. I like to work out, but when there was none of that, like I did the River Place Nature Trail 4 or 5 times a week, and I did it more in the 6-month stretch, 5-month stretch that it was. Everything else was kind of completely shut down than I had in the 15 years that I've lived in Austin. So it was nice, and it's still a fun trail to go hike.
Yeah, that's my backyard. We were out there last weekend, and my husband, it was funny because he was leaving to go skiing, and he did that, and he's like, why did I do this right before leaving? Like, I'm not going to be able to move my legs. It's a tough trail.
It is. Yes, it is. Kind of any kind of final, maybe general tips or tricks or anything to kind of give people as they're considering traveling from that standpoint?
Yeah, a few things that come to mind would just be, always ask about promos, like what promos are out there, and if we know them, we're gonna let you know. And but sometimes if you're looking for something specific, maybe I didn't know about the specific resort, so I can certainly look in and find out any promos, and that can easily save you hundreds of dollars. Just asking about promos. And then also travel protection or travel insurance is what a lot of people think about more than ever. I recommend that now. It's very minimal cost often, and so it can be, I mean, I know for Disney trips, it's like $88 a person, or for adults, and then next to nothing for children. I think under $10 for each kid. And so if you pay that, you'll get. Mm-hmm.
Has that gotten more expensive during COVID, because I'm assuming it's been used more like regular insurance has, or has that kind of still stayed relatively the same cost wise?
Yeah, what I've seen is for some of the packages, it's just been like a little bit of an annual increase, like we would have seen before. But for some of them, yeah, sure. But we actually now have more options. And so before you had less options, like, okay, you either buy the travel insurance or you don't. But now you have more of if you want a full refund of your entire package, it's this amount, and that might be a couple $100s. Versus if you are okay with just getting credit to future travel, then that might be less. And so you would purchase those knowing that you can go in and cancel at any time, and you don't have to worry about being on the hook. I mean, I have a client who was supposed to travel this past September, and it was a $6,000 trip to Hawaii. And so if with that travel protection, I mean, so they're not on the line for $6,000. They paid a couple $100, and now, they don't have to worry about anything. And of course, with COVID, I will say that's another thing to keep in mind, is to ask, like, what is the refund policy? What is if we cancel, we reschedule, what are our options? Always ask about that, because right now with COVID, we're seeing more flexibility than ever. And so most resorts, most packages that don't include airfare, you're going to be able to get all of your money back. It might not be right away. It might only be travel credit, but you're not going to see a lot of cancellation fees right now. With airfare, you're going to get credit. And so unless you pay for travel insurance and you have specified that you want that level of insurance that you get all of your money back, you're going to often just get $1,000 to put towards your next American Airlines flight, and you have until the end of 2022 to use it, for example.
Makes sense. Do you remember what other tips you were going to say, or did I derail you enough from that standpoint?
No, I mean, I think I was talking about that. Another thing to think about is locking in pricing now. And so right now we are seeing so many deals, because as places reopen, they're wanting tourists to come back. And so take advantage of those deals that you see now, because you can always go back in, or not always, I don't want to say always. I hate saying always. Most of the time with these packages, if a better price does come out, you can get the best price guaranteed. And so say you book it now to travel in October, and in July, they release some special promo for the fall that could save you a couple $100 extra. We can usually be able to call in and apply that to your package. And the reason you book now is because if you have a specific type of room in mind, a lot of these resorts, if you want oceanfront, or if you want that master suite that, has the swim out pool, you need to book that early, because there are only so many of those types of rooms at each resort. And so that's really why a lot of people want to book early, is to get that specific type of room. And that could be Mexico, that could be Disney World as well. I mean, there are certainly different types of rooms at each resort that are going to go as soon as they're available. And so that's a good reason to book early.
Cool. How is there limit to how far out you can book on on most of those things, or most of those trips?
Well, right now we aren't seeing, or in my searches, I haven't come across any supplier that has showing availability past December 2021. And so usually, like for Disney vacations, for example, you usually could get in and reserve a room for January 2022 by now, but right now they haven't opened that up yet. And so you might have a little bit more restriction, but you can easily get the rest of this year, you can get something reserved. But even if you let your travel agent know, hey, I really want to go next spring break to Disney World, or, we really want that Hawaiian vacation next summer. If you let us know, we just keep it on our list. And as soon as we see that available, we reach back out.
Awesome. Cool. Well, if someone is seeing this and is needing to get away from the snow, again, kind of remind us where the best places are to reach you.
Yeah, well, you can go to my website, 4pointsmom.com. It's where you'll find kind of all of those resources I talked about earlier that don't have to do with travel, but then you also will be able to click on travel, and that's where you'll find an inquiry form. You'll find a little bit more about what my services entail there. But then also, I'm most active on my 4 Points Mom Travel Facebook page. And so that would just be facebook.com/4 Points Mom Travels. Also, you can do Facebook, just 4 Points Mom. I have a few different things. I know it's confusing, but typically you type in 4 Points Mom, you'll find me.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me today and do this virtually. And hope travel gets back up and going as normally as possible here before long.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Yep. Have a great day.